Pattern book, pattern book, pattern book. PATTERN hyphen BOOK. Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book. Pattern book. Pattern book. Pattern book.
My name is ireann Lorsung. I'm a teacher and writer. I'm a person who goes around on foot and by bicycle. And I wrote this book,
Pattern book.
Pattern Book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
I like flowers. I like public transportation. I like rivers. I like cities and the countryside. I like bridges and I like brothers. I like to think about what it means to be alive. I like to make pictures. I like to look at pictures. I like to think as carefully as I can about how language and pictures work. Across the book, I'm thinking about how time passes and how art or poetry can relate to that passage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
But it offers all kinds of possibilities.
North of Portland, there will be a bus transfer, except Payboard. This bus will continue to Payboard.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, remember, nitrogen, redoubling. I like to think about things that repeat, that repeat,
Ember.
that repeat.
Ember.
I like to think about the way that things that repeat are things that move and change. And in that moving and changing, how things stay the same, mostly. I like that minor change of mostly stay the same. I like the minor change of just a little different. I like slow time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like the time that it takes to walk and think and look and draw pictures and work out how language does what it does to us. I like to pause and look at how the things of the world around me touch each other and what that's like and what kind of meaning that makes. This book was written between 2007 and 2024. I wrote it in Minneapolis, the city I was born in, the city I grew up in, city of the big river, settler city built on grain. And I wrote it in Nottingham, in the Midlands in England, the place where I first encountered the large, slow snails that came out in the damp. And I wrote it in Ghent, in Belgium, beautiful Art Deco city between two rivers. And I wrote it in a house in East Flanders. And parts of it I wrote in Maine, a state on the eastern seaboard of the United States. And parts of it in a small town called Indianola in central Iowa. And parts of it in Dublin in Ireland. And parts of it I wrote sitting in a very dark street-facing ground floor room in Kortrijk, a city in West Flanders, in summer of 2024. I can see in all this movement that it is a book about how time passes, how we pass through the places we pass through, and what the passage of time does to us. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, When I say it's a book about how time passes, I mean minutes and seconds, which can feel slow and can feel fast, and I also mean days and seasons and human lives. This is also a book about the lives of artworks which are of a different scale and pace and duration to human lives. Artworks that outlive us and that live through us, that somehow extend themselves past their makers into a history and into a future that we, when making them, cannot quite understand.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It offers all kinds of possibilities.
Artworks remind me about the impossibility of keeping things, the impossibility of holding still, the way that life forces us to leave things behind, and the way that even artworks, even the perfection of artworks, can't really hold the entire beauty of our living world.
Pattern book.
Pattern book.
Pattern book is a book
Pattern
about
book.
grief.
Pattern book.
The way that change can feel like, or sometimes can be, loss. And the way that great human grief is, despite everything, embedded in a world that continues, that goes on, that's filled with, made of things that return, that never stops moving and changing. This book is full of images that repeat, and those images are images that, it turns out, have been with me all my life.
Of amber, the summer rain.
These are roses and rooms, letters and kitchen tables, bicycles and birds. These are images that for me are to do with the mystery of being alive, a mystery that is only possible because we know we will die. And so these are poems that are deeply wrapped up in the question of how might one live, and what it means at the end of our lives to come to an understanding about that very narrow circumference that is one person's life. It turns out that for me this question is a question I was taught to think about by my poetry teachers. How do I know what I experience if it's only language that I'm thinking with? And where does the I who says, I know, come from? Who gave me that I? My I was given to me by John Berryman, by Emily Dickinson, by Gwendolyn Brooks, by Edna St. Vincent Millay, by Gerard Manley Hopkins, by my father,
It offers all kinds of possibilities.
sitting at the kitchen table drawing with us, by my mother sewing clothes, and my parents singing us to sleep. And so many of the poems in this book are about being taught to write, and about being taught to think, not only by the teachers I had in school, but also by the people around me as I lived as an immigrant in Flanders, an immigrant in England, an immigrant in France, an immigrant in Ireland. As I lived learning language that changes itself as it is used newly over and over by all different people.
North of Portland, there will be a bus transfer, except Bangor. This bus will continue to Bangor.
Putting
Pattern book.
together
Pattern book.
was an interesting process. I didn't think it was a book at first. I had about 100 pages of poems that didn't really belong anywhere, but then I had an inkling that they might fit together, and so I began to group them. I began noticing patterns among them, noticing things that recurred, formal behaviors, couplets, sonnets, returning images, thematic concerns that when I placed them in groups began to show themselves, Once I put these poems together, I realized that the big questions I have about how language works, about how poems do what they do, about what it means to be alive, have been with me for a very long time. A favorite poem for me in this book is the poem Autumn Song, which began as a much shorter prose poem, but in revision taught me to see not only how to make it, but how to understand Pattern Book as a whole.
Pattern book.
Instead of trying to develop the poem narratively, I realized that what I wanted to do could be done simply by repeating, with alterations, lines from the poem. I learned this technique in part from Matthew Welton, who I once heard talk about a grammatical stencil technique. Once I had a good quantity of lines that used similar grammatical structures and a limited number of nouns and verbs, adjectives and prepositions, I ordered all of those fragments into stanzas and then alphabetized the stanzas. The alphabet is a formal device I love to employ because of the way it is both familiar and defamiliarizing. It is so customary to see things in ABC order. And yet every time I use it, it introduces a narrative or a logical disorder that I find completely delightful. Loops, fields, a river, a hedgerow with a hole in it, a loop of amber, the red-winged thrush, the tractor, I began to be interested in how small a radius I could use, how close to home I could stay and still feel alive in the poems. In the end, I found great pleasure in working in a limited palette with language that would thread itself through and across the poem. Some poems in this book were written after the death of my father and a beloved aunt, both of whom imparted their love of poetry to me. Thinking about my father and my aunt guided me toward thinking of Pattern Book as a book about the mystery of living as a human being who will die. Wanted the poem to be a place of sin. Art and poetry make sense both of the repeating nature of our lives and of their finitude.